Hey, I'm back and it's looking at a whole lot of new numbers and statistics and things of what's happening in the domain industry. So don't go away. Okay, so it's great to be back. I must admit, I've had a good break. I'm full of energy now. Christmas is good. New Year's is looking even better. And I must admit, this year in the domain industry, I think is going to be absolutely awesome. Yeah, it's something that I'm really excited for. A little bit better than last year when we were beginning to head into COVID. Hopefully, we're getting that vaccine out and it's heading the other direction and travel will begin to open up again, which will be also good. So what's some good things been happening? Well, I've got to say, NamesCon Online 2021 is only a couple of weeks away. And if you missed it, you should have seen that great interview I did with Soren, who's the CEO of NamesCon. I published it earlier in the week. You've got to take a look at that. But I must admit, I'm really excited about NamesCon because as well as doing a keynote and 2 breakout sessions, I have the opportunity to run 3 fantastic masterclasses. Yes, that is 3 masterclasses. It'll be 45 minutes, an in-depth dive into a whole lot of great areas in domain monetization. Looking at things like what actually is traffic quality? Like, why did you get your account banned? Like, you're looking at those sort of things. Looking at stuff such as at different ways of monetizing and what is the importance of algorithmic switching. Algorithmic switching is so important. So we look at those. So whatever you do, I'll publish the details in my blog on which sessions that I'll be doing, and it'd be great to see you there. But in the meantime, don't forget, check out masterclass lessons, and let's take a look at this week's numbers for the first time in the year. Now, it says starting at week 2, and yes, it is starting at week 2 because we're in week 2 of the year. So let's flick across the screens, and as I like to do, and here we go. Monetization industry update. What's going on there? All right, so if I just get my act together, here we go. So normalized RPM and RPM trends. Now remember, normalized RPM is revenue divided by the raw traffic versus RPM was what, say, monetization providers would respond to. Now you can see they're getting really close to each other. Don't get confused by that. They're using different axes, but the important thing is that trend line upwards with the normalized RPM, and that's the really critical one. In fact, if you come to my session at NamesCon, the masterclass, I'm going to begin to unpack normalized RPM and show you how even that is a flawed number, and we'll see what else we can take a look at. Okay, so EPC and CTR. EPC and CTR, so what's going on them? It's hard to see on this chart, but let's take a look at the trend analysis across the 14-day moving average. And the thing you can see is right at the end there, right at the end just here, and you can see there that they're both kicking up. So which means we're coming to a new level. Shortly you'll see it'll be a new level, and then CTR and up and EPC, which is click-through rate and earnings per click, will then begin to their inverse dance. So that new kick up, I think it's probably because people are thinking, you know what, it's a new year, maybe it's better. Maybe we'll be able to do some more with our websites and so forth. Okay, volatility. And volatility, like overall, the volatility is the same old, same old. We had a bit of an increase here, it's fallen down there and so forth. So nothing really exciting to say about that. And in many respects, I'm really happy that the volatility is quite static because, having a volatility all over the place is not so good. That big spike there, if you wonder what that big spike is, that's actually Black Friday. So it was a big upward swing. Okay, so normalized RPM growth from a base. This is comparing versus the 1st of January 2020. And you can see there, it's almost like an upward trend. In other words, traffic is becoming more and more valuable all the time. And that's really what domain monetization is all about. So what's going on with when we split it out with Google and also with direct advertising networks? With Google's in blue, direct advertising networks are in red. Where's the revenue coming from? That's really what that's saying. And look at that. Remember we were seeing last time I spoke to you, we begin to see a little bit of a trend here with direct advertisers coming up. Look at it now. Like, it is a clear trend. Direct advertisers are paying more and more for that traffic, and which is a great sign. So if you don't have direct advertising networks in your traffic mix, you're missing out. You're missing out big time. And Google's is winning less of the revenue. They're paying out less because they're winning less of the revenue. Even though that is the case, Google's still getting the lion's share of the traffic. And this is because you know what Google's really good at? Having someone for a former website, which is like knitting needles in South Carolina, in a particular little town. Yeah, Google has enormous breadth of advertisers, versus direct advertising networks. Like they really, they pick off different segments and that sort of stuff. The thing I haven't seen yet is what's going on with the travel segment in particular. Is that beginning to come back? So if you have information on that, please let me know. All right, so what's going on? This is the graph I love, which is normalized RPM for Google in blue and direct advertising networks in red. And you can see just here, the direct advertising networks are still swinging upwards. Google's beginning to swing downwards. There's a big drop here. I'm not sure what that has been caused by. It could be caused by a big spike in traffic, which means I'll have to sort of, on our sample set of data, so we may have to massage that data a little bit to take out that particular spike. But I'll get more information on that in the coming week. But if we put them on the same chart, which is really where they should be, Google is way down here. Direct advertising networks are really splitting apart. They're really coming apart from Google. And I'm looking forward to some of the heyday up here as more of those direct advertising networks come on board. So what's going on across the last week versus the current week? And you can see there where the last week was the last snapshot I had. You can see there that the red line, direct advertising networks, are trending upwards overall versus Google is trending down. So we can see that in the overall numbers. So let's move on. So what's going on here? Percentage change and volatility between them both. And you can see there, yeah, the volatility is a lot more stable. Yeah, we get some noise, but compare it against back here for the direct advertising networks. They're all over the place. And even Google's over the place because COVID was beginning to hit. People didn't know what was going on, everything like that. It's almost like we've hit a COVID normal. And yeah, we get some kick ups and downs, but overall, the actual volatility tends to be around that baseline, like of mark of 100%. Nothing really too exciting there. Okay, so the normalized RPM growth from a base. And you see, Google really took advantage of that huge upward swing. This is a percentage. Remember, Google was off a really low percentage, so it's going to look like, oh my gosh, Google's doing amazing things. But it's sort of like they had a 600% growth of 0.1. Well, direct advertisers had a sort of flat growth overall of a value of 10. So direct advertisers are still doing better overall, but this is a percentage view of it. And so you can see that direct advertisers are slowly coming up here. Google's actually slowly going down, but it's once again off their small basis. So a couple of things I'd like to remind you about is ParkLogic. Don't forget, you're doing more than like $500 a month in revenue. We want to have a chat with you. Please reach out to me on my blog, YouTube, on the ParkLogic website. Love to have a chat. The other one is my blog. It's got lots of information there. I know it's long overdue for an overhaul, and I'll work on that at some stage and to make it better. Masterclass lessons. If you're interested in monetization or you think, gee, I know everything about monetization, trust me, you probably don't. I'm going to be actually uploading some new classes shortly, so don't be a stranger on masterclass lessons. Um, I can't reiterate enough. NamesCon 2021 from January 27th to the 29th. Gotta be there. Like, seriously, I'm going to be up from midnight to like 5 a.m. for each night. I'm going to have jet lag without having been on a plane. And why do I do that? It's just so important. It's the industry event. So if you're not already registered, please register. It's really a good thing to do. Just go out there and register. Yeah, and make sure you do so. So NamesCon 2021, 27th January to the 29th of January. Be there, really. And when you get there, please hit me up. You'll see me around the place. I'm hanging around the networking lounge. It's great. Or in one of my sessions, you'll be able to do some Q&A and that sort of stuff, ask questions. Happy to go along and answer them. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this podcast and video and everything. Anyway, thanks a lot for that. Bye. I hope you enjoyed that video and you find them really valuable for your business and helping you make better decisions. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or pass the video on to your friends. Anyway, thanks a lot for that. Have a great day. Bye.